Okay, it's 7 o'clock, so you know the I got an email saying that the apartments across the street on Gessner, at least one of the apartments, is having financial problems, and the financial institutions are going to foreclose on it. I'm not sure if that's good, that's bad, or what, but it's worth keeping up with. Welcome, Aaron.
Are you talking about the rock something or other
It's I think
across the
Winsome
street
or something like that.
of Gessner?
Yeah,
The
there are
Carmona?
three apartment complexes there, so I think it's the Winsome apartment complex that has is having financial problems.
Mm.
Uh, so supposedly the banks or whoever holds the mortgage on those is going to foreclose on them.
Mm.
So
Somebody named Aaron just joined us.
can you hear us, Aaron? Oh,
Yeah,
good.
I see him.
Uh, so the other thing is the District J Patrol. Mayor Whitmire is not allowing the patrol officers to do a lot of the things that at least this council member, Pollard, is asking them to do. So, I'm not sure what we can do about it. I'm going to be, we have to figure out what problems, if anything, if any, I'm sure there are problems, but we can get additional police or what I'm going to ask is if they can't do anything else, at least drive through our neighborhoods. Uh, if that, because that'll help. Just people seeing police cars out there on the streets. The county did help us on Kennard dumping, but I noticed that now they're dumping on Valley View.
Hmm.
And so I've asked the council member to, they have that district patrol that picks up junk like that the next time they're in our area to see if they'll pick up those mattresses and junk that's out there on Valley View. Otherwise, they'll be there for at least a month and a half, if not longer. Because this month is prelims, and if y'all notice, they haven't picked them up yet.
No.
So they're at least 2 weeks behind, if not more. And so there's no telling, and they won't pick up anything that's got junk on it. So it'll be the next time they come around. So I don't know what we can do about that. They ask us to put them out at the time that we're supposed to. But and well, I have tree debris that I can always put out. I'm surrounded by trees, and I have some in my yard also. But uh, and I haven't even finished cleaning up from Barrel, to be honest with you. But I hate putting out stuff that's going to sit out there for months. So I just leave it to where basically no one can see it except me. But let me open up the meeting. Questions, Aaron? Do you have any questions for us? None whatsoever.
No,
You know, there's with the I'm assuming it's going to close. They already paid the resale amount on the house on 8823 Shadowcrest. Uh, so that sold fairly quickly. And it's my understanding it sold for what they were asking for, which was $158 per square foot.
Is
This
it the
year
one that says sale pending?
on Shadowcrest,
Yeah.
yes, supposed to close, I believe, on the 14th of August. Uh, and it's a family, from what I can see, that's buying it.
Good.
But 11 houses, 12 if you include one that the owner sold it so cheap that I think the real estate agent or one of his friends bought it turned around and didn't do anything to the house and sold it for about $70,000 more. So that house sold twice in 1 week. So if I include that as twice, 12 houses have sold this year. We haven't had that many houses sell except after Harvey, just to give you an idea. And most of the houses are selling for pretty close to what people are asking for. So the values of our properties are going up. This year, I can't tell for sure, but it's going to stay close to where they've been at. They may go down some, but in fact, we're one of the few neighborhoods around here where the value of our properties have gone up as much as they have, because it's gone up from 100 in the end of 2021, $100 a square foot, to 158 at the end of 2024. And with the opening of that bridge over the Brace Bayou, everything I read indicates that the values of the properties go up around somewhere between 5 and 15% in the neighborhoods. So there's a good chance that will go up. Let me see. Yeah, you know, I try to drive around the neighborhood, not as often as I used to, because I want people to get involved. You know, they shouldn't be up to me or to just us to report things that bother us. You know, if it's in my street, my block, if it bothers me, I'll call it in. But I shouldn't go down on Imogene, for instance, and look for things to report. If things are bothering people, they need to let us know, or they need to call 311. But I'll be honest with you, 311 has not been effective either. So
What about that house on Jason it's people live in there that don't own it, it's overgrown. It's right across the street from David Hernandez.
it's
And
86.
isn't there anything that can be done about that?
It's 8610 Jason.
Okay.
Now, I actually went there this past week because I got a call from somebody from the council member's office. So I went and took photographs, and I didn't go into the property because, you know, I don't have a permission to go in there. But when I looked around, everything that I saw is the house is boarded up. So if they're going in, I'm not sure how they're going in, at least not anything that I could see from the street. And I've asked 2 other neighbors, not David, but David has never contacted us about that house. But 2 other people have. I said, look, if there's homeless people, if you see drugs, anything, let us know, call the police, because unless you tell us, we don't know. I mean, I don't know what's happening over there. And so, but I haven't had them call me lately. The house, the only way that we could possibly maybe do something is the neighbors basically would have to take the initiative and constantly report it and not be afraid to maybe testify in court for us to, you know, try to do anything about it. But, you know, lawsuits, it can be a double-edged sword. If we sue someone and we lose, they can recover attorney fees. There's a good chance they could recover attorney's fees. You know, we have some money in the bank, but we don't have a lot of money. And attorneys are not cheap. The attorney that we use is $325 an hour, just to give you an idea. And so it's expensive. And I'm not sure that would be the best way. We still have that lawsuit, although it's trespass to try titles. We're trying to get title. I'm not sure if you're aware, title for that property that's at the corner of Mahoning and Imogene. That's where the swimming pool used to be. It has never belonged to Braeburn Glen Civic Club. originally the company, I think it was called Braeburn Glen Inc., donated it to the Braeburn Glen Recreation Club. The recreation, that organization quit functioning in 2011. But even before then, the Civic Club was basically the one paying to maintain the property. And we've continued to maintain the property, paying the property taxes. You know, when the property taxes used to be about $600, but now they're close to $4,000. And it's actually 2 lots. So we're trying to get title to that property. So we have a lawsuit that's pending of trespass to try title. If we're successful, we'll become the owners of that property.
I thought
And
that when you after years and years you have maintained a property that it could just automatically become yours.
no, it's not automatic.
Nothing's automatic.
And because, I mean, certainly you could fight if somebody wanted to then come in, other maybe than the original owners, because that property is still under Braeburn Glen Inc. But that organization quit being in existence like in 1960 something. So the problem is they had a reverter clause that if it ever quit being used for recreation for this neighborhood, it would go back to them. So in 2012, I believe, what was her name? Used to be President Adrian Akins, I believe that was her name. Filed an affidavit with the county stating that we had been maintaining the property, paying the property taxes for an extended period of time. It's now 10 years later, and we're still maintaining and still paying the property taxes. 1 year, I actually posted online saying, look, if you're the owner of this, you need to come and let us know. Nobody appeared or anything, so now we're trying to get title to it. Once we get title to it, we can figure out what to do with it, or somebody can figure out what to do with it. It doesn't affect me because I'm way on the other side of the neighborhood, but for the people that live there, around there, yes, it would. Because that is commercial property. If somebody got a hold of that property, they could build whatever they basically wanted there.
It's not very likely though, that someone would want to build in there inside the neighborhood. But once, if all this works out
let me
and
put it this way. Someone did ask me if they could buy it so they could go park all their trailers and trucks.
oh, great.
So, no, they'll find something to use it for.
Will the taxes go way down if we get ownership of it?
I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure.
4,000 seems quite a lot for an empty lot.
The value is, I believe, 140,000 for those 2 lots. I don't know if you
Together.
together. In fact, if you look at your property, if you look at they break it down into property and house. Most of the properties here are somewhere between 50 and 70,000. That's just the property.
Yeah.
And we have very unique deed restrictions. You know, our deed restrictions actually allow 2 houses to be on a lot. I mean, there's some conditions that have to be met, and they're not easy to be met, but they could be met. In fact, that house at the corner of, I believe it's either no, it's not Shadowcrest. So it must be Reamer and Braeburn Glen. If you were to look at the Harris County Administration District, there's actually 2 addresses there.
Hmm.
So there used to be the house in the back that people assume is a garage was actually it's actually a house. And so it's our deed restrictions for whatever reason allow that.
Hmm.
And so, we kind of have to keep that in mind. Uh, all our neighborhood is in the flood zone. So even if you wanted to like add a room, that room has to be built 6.5 feet high. It can, it can attach to your house, but it's gotta be 6.5 feet high. Anything new that's built has to be raised. So,
Hmm.
that's another thing. I mean, I do put a bit of reading, and I read that in some places, what they're doing is they're building skywalks. So technically, you could build like a built up, if you have 1-story house, part of your roof higher, make it like a landing deck where you get in there, then build a skywalk that connects to a room that's now 6.5 feet above the ground.
Hmm.
And so, which, if you flood, and hopefully it doesn't happen again, but we have basically three: Valley View, Kennard, Nairn, and Reamer, that have flooded maybe 5, 6 times since the neighborhood has been built. This last time we had over 80% of the homes had water in them. Not all of them, but about 80%. So over in where I live at, which is south of the bayou, the houses right by the bayou, like me, got a few inches of water, but most of the houses that are closer to Altamont or on Altamont did not get any water in them. So, whereas I think over on your side, we had houses, even on some houses on Imogene, they got some water in them. So, but take opportunity to ask me any questions right now.
I
Yeah, I'll be happy to answer them.
got a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So that empty lot that you were talking about, can the organization rent them for a day, rent the land for a day, and people can pitch a tent and have party there? And is that possible?
Well,
And get a little income that
can we
way?
rent it out? Is that what
Yeah,
you're asking?
yeah, just
Well,
for the day.
there's technically it's not ours, and uh, so, but if it was ours, there would be nothing that would prohibit us from renting the property out. And I have no problem with that. But again, it's not going to bother me. The people that live around there, if you have parties, you have noises, things like that, the people that live around there should have some say on that.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't have a problem with that. Maybe just limit it on a weekend or something.
uh, the few times that we rented this city building, one of the conditions when that was that they could not have loud music. I always stipulated they could not have loud music. They
Mm.
could have music inside the building, but
Hmm.
not loud music. The one time that we did have some music that was loud, but nobody complained, was when we had something for the children, and they had that bull that the children could ride. I don't know if you all came and saw that, but because that did have some loud music, but nobody complained. So, but
Mm.
certainly could be done. And we can use the property, but we don't have any insurance on the property. If
Oh,
somebody gets hurt there and we gave them permission to do so, uh, you know, our organization would be responsible. And right now, we don't have insurance on the property because it's not ours.
mm. Okay,
Once
well,
it,
that was just an idea.
I mean, we could maybe have like a national night out, which I believe we don't have it in August. I think it's October. Is that correct? If I remember correctly. When it's cool, certainly we could use it for something like that.
Mm.
And that's something to, think about, because October is not that far away if we're going to have a national night out. Uh, the other thing is newsletters. If if you can get people to volunteer to deliver them, I don't mind putting a newsletter together. We can have 3 or 4 a year. It's probably the best way to communicate with the majority of our residents. I send out emails and I have over 200 emails, but I don't know how many people read their emails. I'll be honest with you. If they're like me, I get so many emails
Mhm.
that, I spend maybe 30, 40 minutes every day going over the emails to see which ones I want to read and which ones I don't want to read. And so I'll just delete them. But I'm assuming that most people just, when they get that many, they don't look at any of them. I'm not sure how many people still communicate via email, to be honest with you.
Manny, you said that after we sent that newsletter out, that you got quite a few people paying back dues.
Yes, we did, including one person that paid pretty close to $1,000. That's how far behind they were. And then just even recently, I had 2 more people pay. So it did help with that part of the collection. And it's a lot cheaper than paying attorneys, I'll be honest with you.
Mhm.
But we'll probably have to get the attorney to contact a few more people. But we almost had 50% of the people not paying. We got it down to about 90 houses now not paying. So
Oh, good.
90
yes,
out of what, 360?
yes.
So about 40%.
The 25% haven't paid yet.
And we're getting there, but we were almost at 50%.
Mhm.
Did the attorneys get us any money back?
Oh yeah, everyone that he contacted, and he had to file actually suit on 2 of them. And once he did, they paid, and they paid the attorney's fees and the assessments. So, but
That's
we
good.
also have maybe 8, 10 people that are way behind on their assessments, but they're also not paying their property taxes. And I can tell you right now, if they're not paying the property taxes, they're not going to pay the assessments. And if we did something on the assessment and we place a lien on the house, if they foreclose on those houses, we lose everything, including attorney's fees, because we're at the bottom of the list to collect anything.
Manny, what about that house on, is it Reamer, the house that burned down? Is there anything we can do to at least get that cleaned up?
We can report it to the city. They can go and cut it. They had a program where once they cut it, the neighborhood could go in there and maintain the property and put a lien of $50 every time we cut it. But it seems like they don't have that program anymore.
Hmm.
And we really cannot go into private property. We should not. Let's put it that way. We should not go into private property and mow.
Do we
One,
know
there's
who owns it?
liability problems, and there's also that we just don't have the right to be there.
Right. Do we know who owns it?
I mean, I can look it up. There's 2 sisters, or in fact, they own one of the houses on Rimmer across the street from it, and that house has been empty for years. Where that van used to be, I don't know if the van is still there.
Mm.
I think they have title problems. If that's the house on Shadowcrest, that's also vacant, the one where the tree fell on it, that also has title problem.
Yeah.
So, and that usually happens, people pass away, and either they give the property, like on Shadowcrest, they left it to all their children and their children's children, if their children were already deceased. Well, once that happens, getting everybody to, even finding everybody and getting everybody to agree to sell becomes very hard.
Hmm.
And so that happened there on Shadowcrest. That's not the problem on Jason. Jason is, there's one owner. He's just, and it's got some, two people have actually talked to the owner, gone into the house and said the owner wanted too much money for all the problems the house had because there was a hole in the roof. And so water for years has been going inside the house. So it's got a lot of mold. And when you have a lot, when you have mold, that gets very expensive.
Yeah.
So, but that's that's basically the problem with that house. Uh, any other questions, David?
No,
Aaron? No. What street do you live on, Aaron?
We own property on Reamer.
On Reamer? I haven't had we haven't had complaints on Reamer. That property that's over there by, I can't think of her name right now, but she's probably the oldest person here in the neighborhood. She's in her 90s. Her and guy that lives over here on Braeburn, Glen, he's 92 if I'm not mistaken. And she bought her house in 56. She's the one right there at the corner.
Which corner? Reamer and,
Mahoney and Reamer on the north side corner. Her son lives with her, so because I used to check with her at least once a week, but her son started living with her, so I don't do that anymore. But one of the houses sold on Reamer, though that one that got painted blue, which looks a lot nicer.
yeah, used to be red.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it
So-
does look a lot nicer.
And I don't, those of you that walk or live close to the bayou, they're already pouring cement. And that bridge is almost ready. It's getting pretty close to being ready.
Yeah, on our side, there's still a lot to be done on the other side. Because I crawled over the barrier and went over there. And but today I saw that they were preparing the edges on your side to put cement in there.
Yeah, they were cutting the bayou up, making it like a little bit wider. And I'll have to see what that's gonna look like. I imagine it's kind of like on Keegan's Bayou. The city finally owns all the property where there used to be a landfill over there by 59 and the Beltway. I call it Rum Hollow Hills or something like that. Rum Hollow. They want to build a detention pond. It would be a very large one because I believe it's like 100 acres, but it would run like $100 million. And I know the city doesn't have that kind of money.
We don't even have enough money to have trash trucks.
They said they're gonna spend 13 million and buy 20 some odd new trucks to pick up the recycle. So it's I don't know what to say about that. We can complain, but it's not gonna do any good because and if actually we're lucky, there's some people that haven't had their recycle picked up in over 2 months.
Hmm.
So I'm afraid that if I complain too hard, we may become one of those. So, but but the county has worked with us on maintaining those empty lots. That, they're coming, I think, once a month and mowing them. On Kennard, they used to be used for dumping. You don't see that anymore. It's going over to Valley View. I'm going to try to work with them. But it's hard. And in all likelihood, it's probably people in our neighborhood that are doing that.
Yeah, there's those mattresses down there now.
Yep. And
It's
somebody,
too bad we can't do anything about the flood control. You know, they only mow about every 3 months and then it takes them a month to finish picking up mowing. It causes snakes and everything else.
you're talking about on the side of the bayous?
Yeah,
You know,
I've complained too many times to the flood control.
they, I went to those meetings when they wanted to vote for a tax increase, which they did get the tax increase. And one of the things that they told me, they promised me, is that they would do maintenance more often. And all I can say is they're not doing it more often, they're doing it less often. Because I don't recall the weeds getting up as high as they were this last time. They were what, like almost 4 feet high?
They were higher than that. I stood next to them and they were as tall as I am, and I'm 5'5".
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it really doesn't help because when they cut it, everything stays there on the bayou. And if we get some heavy rain, it all goes into the bayou, decomposes there, and it kind of starts filling up. Years ago, they actually used to come and clean the bottom of the bayou.
Really?
I haven't seen them do that.
No. And
Maybe
they're living
20
under
years.
the bridge again. They're doing drugs down there, and they're shooting off fireworks on a regular basis.
Which bridge? Is the one by your house or the one on Bissonnette?
Braeburn Glen Bridge, the one right here on Braeburn Glen.
Do you report it to the police?
Yeah.
Instead of the police, send an email to David Alexander Priscilla.
Let me, David, who? Wait a minute. Let me take that picture. You got his email?
It's Pollard's office.
Yeah, David Priscilla, David Alexander. But I'll send it to you after the meeting, Alexis.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
'Cause they're down there all the time.
okay. So if they're doing fireworks, it's probably not homeless then.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Either fireworks or gunshots. We're not really sure which it is, but I think it's fireworks. I'm hoping it's fireworks. Fireworks is better than gunshots.
Yeah. But as soon as the meeting's over, I'll send you his email address. Contact him. He's
All right,
normally
thank you.
He's normally is very good at that. Any other questions? Anything?
Mhm. One time I was walking along that sidewalk from Braeburn Glen. It goes past the tennis courts. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I saw some bullet casings there on that pathway.
People that live
Yeah.
on Valley View, or at least some of the people that I speak to, have told me that people drive along Valley View, then stop and shoot into the bayou.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, and we've asked for cameras, but those flap cameras and nothing else, but we didn't get any.
Hmm.
I mean, I can ask again, but I think they're getting rid of them anyhow
Hmm.
because they're not. They found out that they haven't been that helpful.
Hmm.
No, not those cameras. The ones where they kind of
The one that audio
zero
one?
in, like where the shooting is coming from.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
And I'll also ask Pollard's office again if they could, if we could get speed humps on Imogene and Jason. They're gonna ask Public Works again. Hopefully we can get them. I told them we'll pay for it. That's not the problem, but those are the only two streets that don't have speed humps. And speed humps help a little bit in preventing crime.
Yeah, they don't speed as much on aerial because I got speed bumps, but last week I heard a lot of noise coming from Imogene, and I think it was because there's no speed hump, so that somebody was just speeding right down Imogene.
So,
Yeah.
but I've asked Pollard's office to look into it again, they basically say the streets are too short and that's why they can't install the speed humps. So we'll keep trying on that. Street lights, I don't drive at night much to be, in fact, my wife is afraid when I drive, so basically I don't drive anymore. So if I want to go out, I'll ask her to drive me or my grandson. But I don't go out much at night. But if you notice street lights that are out, report them. Centerpoint is pretty good about repairing them. Because lights do help with crime.
Yeah, I keep reporting on the lights on Ariel Street and I think last year they would come out and fix them, and then a month or two later the lights go out again. So I would complain again, and then had to wait a week or a month or so. Then they fixed it again, and then it went out again. But so far this year that hasn't happened. But for a while it was kind of frustrating because I don't know what they were doing when they repaired it wasn't a good job, but now it's better. So can't complain now.
There's not any more questions. We can stop the meeting. We'll have a board meeting next month. Middle of the month, is that good for most of you?
As far as I know.
Uh,
Well, I'm going on vacation the middle of the month. I'm gonna be out of town the week of the 17th.
yeah, we can probably do it before then. It'll be a real short board meeting. Whatever it is, because it's just that our bylaws require that we have so many board meetings and so many general meetings. Elections will be this year. When do y'all want to get a newsletter out?
I was gonna ask you if you wanted to do it in by September, but that's just a month away.
No, that's no problem. I mean, I can get one done in a couple of weeks. That's not a problem.
We could basically just recopy the one that we sent.
Well, there's a lot of things I can add to it that are different.
Well, there was one thing I wanted to add too, but I thought I was sending out a draft and that people would add to it, and no one ever added to it. So except for you. So there was one thing that said and ... and then nobody ever added anything. So
in fact, if I recall correctly, one of the things you want to do is you want to tell people not to dump on those empty properties. So I'm going to put
yeah.
that. So I'm going to put that on the newsletter
Okay.
and remind people that things like that affect our property values. And I don't know if people realize it, but a house is almost like a bank account. We have several $100,000 that's there that we can borrow on at low interest rates. And so I'm not sure why people would want to lower the value of their homes where they can do that. It's if you refinance, most people could refinance easily for about $200,000 on any of the homes here in this neighborhood. And if you just want a home equity loan, although banks don't want to give us small loans, you could easily get $50,000 to $100,000 without any problem. And these are low interest rates for the most part. So, why anybody would want to lower the value of their homes just baffles me.
Manny, if you want to do a newsletter, I don't know if you want to do what you did before, but my daughter's out of work again, so if you're interested in having her do it.
Okay, I think Jean has found some volunteers last time, so I may
Okay, that's good. That's better.
I may depend on Jean to find some of those volunteers again. And I'll be honest,
I kind of
I'm
bullied
too
some
fat and
of
I'm too
them.
old and I have back problems.
Yeah, I kind of bullied some of them into doing that. I say, you know what, everyone else is doing that, step up. So,
I mean, we could,
but,
we could mail them, but you know, the postage has gone up to 79 cents. So, you know, so it would cost as much to mail the newsletters that would cost to print them. Plus, actually, it would get higher because we have to get them folded.
yeah, well, we had, let me see, Ravi, Carol, Sarbelia, Nellie and I think are the ones that delivered them. Oh, and David, sorry, David. Delivered them last time, so, you know, if other people wanna, you know, help out, it would be nice. It's not that hard.
And the other thing,
Yeah.
I gotta
Mm.
get a Visa card before I forget.
Oh, yeah,
Any more questions? If not, can a motion to adjourn?
I motion we adjourn.
I second it.
Oh,
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you all for coming. You have a great evening.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Aaron, thank you. I
Okay.
think it's the first time
Good night.
I've seen you, at least in a Zoom meeting. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
all right.
Okay.